The Pat O'Hara Show is sponsored by the River Shack Tavern, 3449 River Road in Jefferson.
You face adversity, we keep fighting like we did last week. You understand? Together we will do this. Together we will do this, right here. Let's go. Get it.
Hey, division game, guys. Hey, we got to come out swinging. We got to come out swinging. It's going to be a backyard fight in our own backyard, all right? Let's go. Hey, win on me, win on three. 1, 2, 3, win.
Welcome to the Pat O'Hara Show here at the River Shack Tavern, and joining me, your host, Rizzuto, as always, is head coach Pat O'Hara. And Coach, congratulations on the win at home.
It feels good to get that out of the way, and I mean that in a good way. I think that we had to get that win at home. Now we don't have to talk about it anymore. Now it's time to take the next step, and that is winning more games consistently and building our playoff run here.
Talk about that game from start to finish. Very spirited speech to start the game.
Very spirited speech by who? Me?
You, yes.
I keep it simple and short and sweet. The players went out and played hard. They fought through adversity. We made some mistakes too, Brandon, that we've got to correct. But I'm proud of the way our guys fought on a national stage at home to get that win, to get some pride back for our team.
You got some guys back off of the IR, including one that made a big play immediately, made a great impact, was DeMarcus Robinson.
Yeah, DeMarcus made that interception, really set the tone for our game with that interception. Unfortunately, we weren't able to turn into points. We turned the ball over ourselves. So we faced some adversity there, but the turnovers kept coming, and then we started turning them into points. Our team is starting to learn how to play together. Again, we have a long way to go, Brandon. We're not where we need to be. We're not where we need to be yet, in my opinion. But we're continuing to work and get along that process to get where we need to.
Talk about your defense and forcing turnovers. And we'll be joined later by Jeremy Kellem, one of those guys that's been a huge part of this secondary. You guys know how to hit.
Well, Jeremy's kind of turned into the quarterback of our secondary and really puts in the time studying, watches the film, does a good job with Coach Planning of understanding the concepts of what we're trying to do. Again, even in the secondary as a whole, we have a lot to learn still. It's exciting, though. I enjoy coaching these guys. They're young and enthusiastic, and it's fun watching them grow as a team together.
Talking about your offense now, and that's the area of the team that seems to be growing quite rapidly. You and Kurt Rocco, your relationship seems to be bountiful on the field.
I think Kurt's understanding the concepts of what we're trying to do. We're able to pretty consistently finish drives off with points, and in every possession you want to come away with points, not just points but touchdowns. And Kurt's done a good job of that. He's a guy that studies also. He's really put in the time, and it's fun coaching a guy like that that's mentally and physically tough and has the physical tools to make all the throws.
One of the things that you noticed and you talked about here on this show and happened in this past game is just that starting off slow. That first drive seems to be a little shaky, but after that you guys finish.
You want to be able to start faster, there's no doubt, but you also want to be able to play through adversity, and we certainly did that. We played through adversity. Arena football is all about that. You just have highs and lows in the game. That ball bounces funny, Brandon. We talk about it every week. Ball bounces funny up those bars and the nets and the walls, and crazy things can happen. You've got to keep fighting. You've got to keep fighting and persevere through those things, and our players are learning about how to do that.
The special teams aspect for the VooDoo got a little better with Matt Denny, and just a hair off of hitting that crossbar on the kickoffs.
Well, yeah, Matt Denny did a better job than what we've had in the past, and we made a couple field goals. That was big. We're still not protecting well enough on our PAT, up front. We're not protecting well. We had one blocked. It's really unacceptable. So we've got some corrections to make in special teams too, and we're going to zero in on that this week, Brandon.
It was a Good Friday, turned great. Just talk about the fans at that game.
It got loud. I think that was our biggest turnout we've had, and thanks so much to the fans for doing that. We've got to keep that continued support. It made a difference. When we watched the film today, sometimes the snap of the ball when Tampa Bay had the ball, they were laid off the ball and we were going because of the crowd noise. So we've got to continue to have that.
VooDoo started off 0-2, now 2-2. You're watching the Pat O'Hara Show here at the River Shack Tavern. Come on back for some more VooDoo action. Welcome back to the Pat O'Hara Show here at the River Shack Tavern. We're going to give Coach Pat O'Hara a break and welcome in Jeremy Kellem to the show. Jeremy, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Jeremy, just your play has been noticed by the league this past couple weeks, and 3 straight games with interception. All 4 games you've had a takeaway. Tell me about that.
First of all, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm blessed to have this opportunity to play with the VooDoo. I've been fortunate and blessed every game to come up with a takeaway. The first game, a fumble recovery on special teams, and the past 3 games, interceptions. And one was a bar ball, and the last 2 have been like a normal interception, like an outdoor game.
You're one of the true rookies on this team in arena football, and just talk about learning this game. It's a lot different than the outdoor game.
Yeah, it's a lot different. It's kind of like basketball. You keep going back and forth. You have to have a short-term memory. Because you 9 times out of 10 you may get beat, but as a defensive back you have to have that short-term memory. The receivers, they get a head start. You're flat-footed and they're running full speed already. So it's a different mindset, different tempo, and you just have to move on to the next play and be ready to. It's not about the plays you give up in this game. It's about the plays you make. So that's how I try to keep that mindset in the game.
Talk about the last 2 games, especially 2 wins. You played a big role in both those games. Talk about that interception at Utah. Very athletic play.
Yeah, like I said, man, I work on trying to catch balls after practice because in my mind I look at myself as a receiver, even though they say DBs can't catch. But I try to work on it after practice, catching balls from Zeb and Rocco, just working on my hand-eye coordination, and thank the Lord it came in handy in the Utah game. And I made a diving interception, and it helped our offense out, got them the ball back, they scored, and we were able to go in with the lead and come back and just end up winning.
Obviously, the play of the week for the VooDoo has been that interception return against Tampa Bay this past week. Just tell us about that.
The quarterback, he kind of overthrew his receiver. So I was blessed to catch the ball, and then I came down, and I didn't notice the referee until I looked at film. But I kind of used the referee to my advantage, and then I got a couple blocks, and then I ended up getting blocked by Ray, and he blocked the quarterback, which is his good friend, so that was good for Ray. And then I got in the end zone, then I did my little Chris Johnson dance, but my teammates didn't let me finish my dance, so I was kind of upset about that. But overall, it was a great play by my team, and they helped me out. They led me to the end zone, and we took over from that point on.
In postgame, you talked about you didn't know if it was actually going to count when you saw the penalties.
Yeah, after I did my dance, I turned around and I seen the yellow flags on the field. Normally, during a return, if you see flags on the field, they're going to call it back. But the whole time, I kept thinking to myself, man, it's not going to count. It's not going to count. And then after about 5 minutes, I seen the extra point team on the field, and I was like, hey, did it count? And then everybody on the sideline was like, yeah, duh. And I was like, oh, okay. So I got excited twice. And it was just a great play for us as a team and a great play for me as an individual as well.
Did you get a chance to do your dance in the sideline area?
No, I didn't get a chance to do my dance on the sideline. But I had a couple text messages, and they said they liked my dance, so I was kind of happy about that. I'm not a dancing guy, so.
Jeremy, one of the things we talked about off air, and it's very apparent that everything you do, you always mention your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and you're a very religious young man. Just tell us about that.
To me, that's a must. Any opportunity that I get, I gotta glorify Jesus Christ, because without Him, I wouldn't be here. He's the one keeping me healthy, keeping me safe, giving me the opportunity, blessing me with His opportunity. And my whole life I was raised in the church, and I was blessed to continue to grow spiritually throughout college. I was blessed to get involved with FCA, and that's very important to me. The number one thing in my life is my relationship with Jesus Christ.
One of the things you're telling me off air, you're an ordained minister?
Yeah, I'm a licensed minister. You know, I'm the type of person, I like my actions speak louder than my words. So I don't walk around telling people, hey, yeah, you know, I'm a licensed minister or whatnot. Because if you go around telling people and you don't live up to it, then it's like kind of hypocritical. But I like to just let actions speak louder than words. And then if I get the opportunity to share with somebody like I did today with you, then I let everybody know, you know, I'm a licensed minister or whatnot. And so that's how I just like to live by example.
Is living in the Word hard?
Oh yeah, definitely it is. I mean, just the word's temptation all around. I'm not perfect. I'll be the first one to say it. I'm not perfect, but every day, you know, I'm striving to get closer to God, striving to better my relationship with Him. And we just celebrated Easter, you know, Him down on the cross for our sins. So because He did that, you know, I'm forgiven for my sins. So I just every day just get up, repent for my sins, and strive to grow in my relationship with God.
Jeremy, thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You're watching the Pat O'Hara Show here. That's Jeremy Kellem. We'll come back with Pat O'Hara here at the River Shack Tavern. Welcome back to the Pat O'Hara Show here at the River Shack Tavern in Jefferson. Coach, we talk about this all the time. Food here is great. We could use some fan support out here.
You know, I've had the red beans and rice like almost every Monday. Last week I had a shrimp po' boy. Couldn't finish it. I mean, oyster po' boy. I couldn't finish it. It was so good. Bread was really soft. This is a great place. We got to get our fans out here and join us for this midday party.
Speaking of good, Jeremy Kellem, who we just had on a segment ago, outstanding young man.
Jeremy's a student of the game. You know, Jeremy's a guy that was in the UFL last year early on in camp with the Omaha Nighthawks, and I talked to their personnel people, and they really liked him. The coaches were worried about his youth because he was so young, and it was such a short season in the UFL with a 4 or 5 game season. They wanted veterans, and he slipped through the cracks, and we jumped on him. And thank goodness we did. He's turning into the quarterback of our secondary. You know, he's an academic All-American in college, so we're glad we have him.
He's a Florida guy, too. I guess we can't hold that against him.
He's a Florida guy, you know, South Florida guy. Those guys are athletes.
Talk about just how much he's meant to this team the last 2 games. Arguably, the play against Utah kind of changed the dynamic of the game a little bit, that diving interception, and of course, last week's.
The thing about Jeremy is he practices the way he plays. He takes what he does in practice to the field in the game, and he's a student of the game. And when you play the middle position in arena football, you've got to be a student of the game and study, and your work habits and your work ethic has to be tremendous. Jeremy has that, and he still has a lot to learn, but he's on the right path to be, you know, one of the top players in this league. We're very fortunate to have Jeremy.
Staying with the defensive backfield, inactive and inactive players. We mentioned you got DeMarcus Robinson back, but you also got Jorah Calvin back this past week too.
It's good to have both those players back. We had a couple breakdowns and gave them Tampa a couple easy touchdowns with some blown coverages, but we backed it up with some turnovers, made some great plays on the secondary. So we're hoping to correct those mistakes. And really, with those 3, with Calvin and Kellem and Robinson, we feel good about where we're at there in that secondary, and hopefully we can continue to build on that, fix those corrections when we go to San Antonio.
Looking at inactive players, and unfortunately, Brian Coulter went down in that game and did not return. Any news on his injury?
Yeah, Brian's done. Brian's done for the year. You know, Brian's done. Jasper O'Quinn's done. Robert Henderson. Those are 3 defensive players that we really counted on. I feel bad for Brian, but he's done for the year with a knee. First play of the game, it happens. So we'll replace him and keep moving forward.
Looking at the game, get Justin Adams back off IR. You got Raheem Aleem basically off the street. Didn't get a chance to really get too much practice in before the game, but were you satisfied with what you've seen from those 2?
Raheem's got a chance to do some good things. Literally, like you said, off the street a week ago. Still trying to get back in shape. Got a little tired there during the game, but he's got a chance to do really well. He has the pedigree and the LSU background and the high school background, and the NFL background, where we know what he can do. he's going to help us. And Justin did a good job as the game went on. It took him a while to get going. I thought he helped us. But some other people are going to have to step up now with Brian Coulter getting hurt. But that's arena football.
Coach, just talk about your other side of the ball, offensive line. How did you feel they performed?
A little better this week than last week. Last week, really struggled protecting Kurt, although he ended up being player of the week. It was amazing under the duress he was under. This week, our offensive line stepped up, played a little better. You can always improve, though. You can always improve, but I was happy with our protection there, and we did some good things.
Talk about the division and just looking around the division. We say it every week. The South, it's a very tough division.
It's tough. Right now, we put ourselves in a position where we're tied for first place in the Southern Division, which is great. We got a long way to go. We got a long way to go, but we've now all of a sudden in 2 weeks put ourselves in a position where we're tied for first in the division, and that's tremendous. We've got to keep building on that.
Sometimes scores are misleading, but one of the things that really jumped out in the league this past week was Philadelphia putting 92 points on Georgia. Was that a surprise to you?
Well, not really, because they got an explosive offense. They've got a lot of, like we talked about a few weeks ago, all arena football type players. But and again, anything can happen any given week in this league with the way the ball bounces off the net, hits those bars. You just never know. So anything can happen. Georgia's a quality opponent. They'll bounce back. But what a tremendous game for Philadelphia.
You're watching the Pat O'Hara Show here at the River Shack Tavern. Stay tuned for more VooDoo action right after this. Welcome back to the Pat O'Hara Show here at the River Shack Tavern. And Coach, look ahead to San Antonio. San Antonio is a tougher team than their record would indicate.
San Antonio's a good football team. They have a guy who has his jersey in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Aaron Garcia. The guy's thrown over 1,000 professional touchdown passes. And Aaron's 41 years old, been doing it a long time. I played against him as a player, coached against him. He has a ring from last year in Jacksonville as an Arena Bowl champion. So got a tremendous challenge going against Aaron Garcia. They have a number of my players too that played in Predators last year. My defensive coordinator is now the head coach in San Antonio, so it'll be interesting.
You guys have a good working relationship. Just tell us about what you expect from them, knowing their head coach.
Well, it'll be interesting because I'm sure I've been with Lee Johnson, their head coach, the last 2 years as my assistant, and so it'll be an interesting matchup. He'll have some ideas and some concepts to go against us, and I will too. So I think it might balance itself out. It's going to come down to the players performing and executing.
Aaron Garcia, no stranger to this team, had the New Orleans VooDoo's number twice last season, had a lot of people's number last year on the way to Arena Bowl championship. Is there a way to stop Aaron Garcia?
Well, you just try to slow him down a little bit. He's tremendous. He's going to make his plays. He's his own offensive coordinator. He calls the plays. He puts in the time to study. Again, in arena football, you got to get after their quarterback, protect yours, and hope the ball bounces your way off that crazy net. And if that happens, with the way our guys are playing, the way they play with so much passion, hopefully that'll carry us to a win.
Talk about them in between the trenches in the lines, offensive line, defensive line. How do they stack up?
They're good. They have a good pass rush. They protect well. It's going to be a tremendous matchup. There's no easy games that we can look on our calendar and say, oh, well, we're going to win that one, that one, that one. Every week is a challenge. That's what we're trying to get across to our players. That there's so much parity in this league, Brandon, that you've got to be ready to play every week in all three phases.
Talk about just their record. A little bit deceiving considering that they've played such great teams, including San Jose.
Yeah, I don't really look at their record. You can look at our record and come to some conclusions about our record. This is San Antonio and Aaron Garcia and Lee Johnson's the head coach and a lot of great players that play on that team that have a lot of pride that, we've got to come ready to play.
You always say we have to worry about us. So let's talk about us heading into this game. Talk about the VooDoo and what they're going to have to do to make this game a success.
Well, we've got some injuries we've got to fix. Losing Brian Coulter, one of our best players on our football team, is gone. We have to replace him. We have to play sound defensively and what we're trying to do. We blew some coverages. We got to fix that. We've got to fix our pass rush a little bit at times. We weren't where we were supposed to be. And offensively, we've got to continue to do what we're doing. We've got to finish drives and be consistent and not have to come away with field goals. Special teams, got to improve our kickoff return. It's not where it needs to be, and our PAT protection is not where it needs to be. So these are things that we continue to work on.
Are you pleased with your kicking game? I know you only had one game with Matt Denny here, but Talk about him.
Well, I think Matt's going to be fine as the kicker, but I'm not pleased with our special teams right now. It needs to get better. It has to get better. And that's something that we discussed today again. And right now, it's not where it needs to be. We've got to fix that. We'll continue to build on that this week.
Coach, as always, best of luck in San Antonio.
Thanks, Brandon.
You've been watching the Pat O'Hara Show here at the River Shack Tavern. Be sure to tune into this week's game at the San Antonio Talons. It'll be on the NFL Network. Thanks for stopping by for all your VooDoo action here on Cox 4.